All right, guys, welcome to the live bedroom read with Barbara Gordon, Batgirl. I'm going to get right into the read because it's going to be a straight up Batgirl read tonight. I was going to actually offer you guys some options before we got started, but welcome to the live. I'm Barbara Gordon, Batgirl. One of the Batgirls. I'm not the only Batgirl. So, Mandy, Nikki, Hello Kitty, great name by the way, Jean Pierre, STFX, Eden, Andy, Dandy Moneyman, hey my friend, Travel Dan 70, hey Jackson, Guy with the LA, hi, okay. So, fun fact about Barbara. Her birthday, Batgirl's birthday is actually, I think, the day after Supergirl's birthday. So Supergirl's birthday is September 22nd, and Barbara is September 23rd. I believe making her a Libra. I have to double check that. Anyways, welcome to the live. Hey, King Poppy, welcome, welcome. We're going to do a Batgirl read tonight. We're going to be doing Strange Loop. I'm going to go right into the read because I want to have this as a bedtime comic book read that you can get at any time, and I'll have this reposted on my YouTube. So thank you guys for joining me for tonight. This is Batgirl is one of my favorite. You know, it's funny whenever I do the hey Gwen Stacy, I saw you follow me on Facebook. Facebook. I don't really use Facebook that much actually. I saw you follow me on Instagram. I'm so shadow banned on Instagram because I used to be part of a dance crew called the Badass Babes here in Toronto. And we all had to post our like pre-show videos, but we used a lot of music that copyright didn't like. And so, hi Pokey, hello, hello. I hope your stream went well. I'll come support you going forward in your live streams. I actually had a wonderful call today with a beautiful couple from Costa Rica. And they deal with plant medicines, as you can kind of see. I love mushies behind me, just because I know on Instagram I'm pretty shadow banned on Instagram because of it. It's okay though. I'm all right with it on all socials. You know what though? That's because of you though, Pokey. That's because if you're like a new follower, I feel like the algorithm in that sense has changed on me. Also, before when I used to do video edits, I would usually take a long time to get to the point, like build up drama and suspense, but the algorithm doesn't like that crap. You gotta get to the point, right? Um, so I'm happy you see it, Pokey, but generally speaking, it's not really, if you're not seeking out my content, you're not going to necessarily find it. Part of me is like, you know what? I'm okay with that. Like, it's been funny, like, since getting more, I guess, attention on certain things, I'm like, wow, you always get the good and the bad together. So, that being said, I brought back Batgirl tonight. And I've actually read, I think, from Strange Loop before. This deals with the story of going into Batgirl's mind or going into a dream sequence. So, when it comes to comic books, some of my favorite storylines are the dream sequence stories, right? Because yes, exactly, Pokey, right? It's kind of like done your preferences, like sought out certain people. Like on my socials as well, I see certain content from certain astrologers I really like, or I just like different content creators. I have a really funny, like, a really weird sense of humor, and so I appreciate people who can put together memes or like edit things in a really clever way, right? So I like to seek that out, but generally speaking, trending content. I used to work a lot in digital marketing and how that all went down, like buying keywords, the algorithm, pay per click, SEO, all that kind of stuff. I saw some of them to poke. I've been behind today just because I was taking calls today, but I will go through everything. I am in the process of, oh, thank you so much for that. Because, man, earlier today, I did well, actually, let's go back to this. I have an OC daughter of Batgirl and Robin. Her name is Veda, 11 months old. I love that. Okay. So before I got on this, I want to play this song for you. Do you guys remember that Celine Dion song? It's all coming back to me now. So before I got on this call, I like was listening to it and watching the music video and like crying to myself. I'm laughing just because if I don't laugh, I'll cry. So, I'm gonna make a music video about Barbara Gordon and Dick Grayson, and like it's all coming back to me now. And I will say this, like this whole thing of your old memories and repressed memories as they like all come back to you when you listen to certain songs. I think that's like the main truth behind that. So, without further ado, I don't want to be on too late, but I did want to get this read out there so that I can have the replay ready for you guys because I have a few. Well, tomorrow's a full moon in Taurus, so Zatanna will be back tomorrow, and hopefully I can fix Constantine's hair, but we'll see. Okay, so let's get right into the read. It is Strange Loop Part 1, so we're just starting a series, but I have a lot of Batgirl comics from back when I used to work at the hospital, so a lot of these are gifts from a friend of mine from work. A Moon Knight costume tomorrow. Well, I'm going to do Zatanna for the card reading show that I'm going to do. It's going to be a little bit earlier in the day tomorrow. Hey, Supergirl cosplay share. Hey, should have been in Supergirl time. But oh, you know what? I have a few skits that I'm putting together as well between Batgirl and Supergirl on certain missions in this reality. So stay tuned for some of that once I get my ish together a little bit more. And I did have a show earlier today called The Bohemian Revolution, which is like my day podcast show. So I'm going to have that all set up on Patreon, which Patreon's going to be the hub for all of my production work and shows in a more standard format. I've been trying to like experiment with different platforms. Like I like spent way too long on Ko-Fi today trying to get the superhero school up. Oh, my cape's too hot right now. I was gonna start with it, but I was like, you know what? Too hot to keep the whole time. It's in the back. However, I do have some new cosplays of Batgirl's outfits because as you can see here, Batgirl typically wears pants, so I should do that. Yeah, exactly, Pokecut. It wasn't playing very nice with me when it was coming to making like modules and making it password protected. I do know Discord is really good for that kind of stuff because you can kind of protect certain groups. And I'm going to have a Discord group for Superhero School, but a lot of people who are in that are not really familiar with Discord, even though it's not that. Anyways, I'll leave that to the side. But I'm going to have most of like the members only podcasts and shows, like all that stuff sit on Patreon. So stay tuned for that, as well as I'm going to offer a few like free trial memberships so you can get a sense of like what content you'd get with that as well. But I'm still organizing all of that, right? Yes, you can connect Discord and Patreon, so you can have certain things accessible by both. So I've been finding that implementation's better. Ko-Fi I'm going to keep to more the cosplay stuff, the photography stuff to get like photo sets. I'm working on a 2026 cosplay calendar, unofficial. It'll be a moon calendar. So it's going to be a moon calendar for 2026 with all like the lunar cycles, the major full moons. And then I'm going to hopefully have like a cosplay for each of the characters that have birthdays in that month, right? So like for example, Wonder Woman, she's an Aries woman, so she would be March, because March, Aries, the whole astrological new year starts in March 22nd. Hey, Scott Summers, welcome. I'm going to touch back with you with, oh my goodness, Jessica Cruz, because I have, her ring is going to be complete soon. So, all right, guys, let's get into the read. We're going to read Strange Loop, Batgirl, Trapped Within, Death Awaits Without. It's a pretty cool cover too, right? Like this idea of being trapped within your mind and like your inner world versus your external world. So let's get into it. Here's the first panel. Okay, Strange Loop Part 1. Don't do this. Who is this? Loyal? What kind of name is that? Look, I don't know. Look at this. Oh, I don't know if you can read that. Anyways, I'm going to try to say it's loyal. Loyal, don't do this, Loyal. Not in front of the babies. Let's go out in the hall and talk, okay? Oh, come on, Cleo. You think I'm falling for that? I'll bet you tell the kids to lock the door behind us. And so Batgirl's like on the scoop, hearing behind the door, nefarious stuff, right? You took them away. You poisoned them against me. But guess what? I'm taking them back. I'm taking them back. Chainsaw Man, 20, please. Oh, Chainsaw Man's good. We've been watching it so far, actually. I actually drew a little. I'll show you guys that tomorrow in a day show. Okay, so this guy's trying to take the kids. I wonder if like this is a little bit of a domestic dispute as well. But anyway, she's like, "You're not getting the babies, buddy. Over my dead body. No, don't hurt mommy." And he's all right. Okay, that's fine with me. Oh, was that a joke? D Mitch X3, no worries. Sometimes, like sarcasm, sometimes it's hard to tell through the chat. I think someone told me the other day that like in Filipino culture, you don't really have the concept of sarcasm, right? Also, like apparently sarcasm is supposed to be like a very low form. Is it humor? I don't think it's even humor. I think it's just like, oh, well, that's great. But like if you don't have that tone in it, then you wouldn't know that someone's sarcastic, I guess, right? Anyways, let's continue onward. So this guy is trying to like take the kids. She's like, no way, buddy. And he's like, fine, I'm going to pull out some sketchy weapon from my jacket pocket and says, I'm rich as shit, or bleep, I can afford to pay for their therapy. And she says, lol, no. So, I was talking about earlier today about narcissistic relationships. This guy seems like was probably a narcissistic, terrible partner. I'm standing. Yeah, I am. It's a miracle. Oh, I actually do also have you guys. After this read, if there's still time, I have the complete works of Alan Moore here. And of course, the Killing Joke is part of it. And if you're not familiar with that, Babs loses use of her legs because of what happens with the Joker. However, there's a few storylines where she gets her legs back, right? She gets a neural implant. And I've read you guys Summer of Lies, which does a lot of flashbacks to when she was Batgirl before Oracle. And then she retakes the mantle of Batgirl after Oracle as well. But you wouldn't have had Oracle had she not gone through that experience, right? So it's kind of like one of those things. I so love her as Oracle. I love her as Oracle too. She's so badass. I was playing Gotham Knights for a bit. I was kind of sad that I wasn't able to multiplay that with my husband being Dick Grayson and me being Barbara. But it's interesting, right? Like her characterization in Gotham Knights is much more like harsh. Like she tries to like swear and that kind of stuff. But I think that Babs is much more sweet. And even as Oracle, Oracle and Batman are known as like mom and dad of the Bat family kind of thing. I don't know how you can recall so much background. You know how Dandy Money Man, me and Barbara Gordon have eidetic memory in common. I can remember everything. And that's a blessing and a curse, right? Because sometimes you don't want to remember certain traumatic events now, do you, right? I do love my stories. And you know what, though? I will actually also forget certain things. Like, my hubby will be like, oh, we watched this movie together. I'm like, did I sleep? Some movie they're like sleeping to. Then I'll wake up near the end. I'm like, what's going on? But then I'll just get the part that like, okay, I like it, Batgirl can walk again, take care of her daughter Vadia. Yeah, Veda. That's a cool name. Gwen Stacy, where do you get inspiration from your names from? I will tell you this, like when I was first writing my book when I was 14, the biggest issue I had with anything is like names, like coming up with a good name for something. Because then I like want to change my Gemini moon just can't settle on one name, right? I always sleep during, yeah, it's true. Okay, let's keep going. I remember going to watch Minority Report back in the day when it first came out at the cheap seats in Winnipeg, because back in the day in Winnipeg, I don't know if they still do this, like Toonie Tuesdays, you could watch a movie for $2, but it was all like the movies after they had the initial premiere. So I remember watching Minority Report with my friends, and literally I just remember like the beginning scenes, and then I like fell asleep, and then I woke up and it was all over. So yeah, and I like Philip K. Dick stories. I need to go back to that. We have that on Thursdays. You still have that? I'm so happy. I wish more theaters did that, you know, like just like the cheap seat theaters. And you still have the whole experience of like popcorn and the movies that doesn't cost you like $15, which $20 now more. Like here in Toronto, like, no. Anyways, so I think what we're dealing with here is a domestic dispute. We have this guy, Loyal. I think that's how you say it, is not acting very loyal. He's willing to like basically get rid of these kids. I think he's the dad to the kids, but the kids are like, you're kind of crazy. Don't hurt our mom. And so he pulls out this strange weapon. Apparently he's got a lot of money. So he's like, I'll just pay for the kids' therapy after this. No worries. Crazy. So he shoots the gun. It fizzles. And you see here this crazy portal. Looks like it opens up, right? Because remember, the tech that exists in Gotham, right? We have like all this like experimental kind of stuff. So presses it, opens up a portal, and then she's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Batgirl, are you okay? Uh-huh, it's okay. My suit protected me. So Batgirl jumped in and got in between the beam, right? So, you know, putting herself in danger as heroes, in the way of danger to protect people as heroes do. Oh my God, Batgirl, are you okay? Uh-huh. My suit protected me. And so it went, the whole energy shock goes through her, and she's like, oh my gosh, like, what was that? I've never felt like that before. It's some kind of taser. So she's kind of paralyzed now. She's like, I can't move. What's your problem, woman? This is a private matter. Ha. And so Batgirl's looking up at him. She's like, oh my gosh, I have to get up. And remember, she got used back of her leg. So I find with Batgirl in these, what do you want to call it? In these stories, post-Oracle, post-neural implant, there's a lot of stories too where like experimental tech, so any mental stress, anything like that, may cause the neural implant to malfunction. So you have this situation where she's now like on the ground. She's like, oh my gosh, what the heck? Get up. I have to get up. And then he keeps going off, pontificating, saying, didn't anyone teach you what happens when you stick your nose where it doesn't belong? And Batgirl's just saying in her head constantly, just get up. And finally, she manages to pull her ish together and kick the guy in the face. Hi-ya! I think, you know, you always have to have a good hi-ya, or like when you're punching, you big exhale when you hit. And then, what does he say here? My glasses, they have fallen off. Cleo, get the kids to safety. I'll take care of him. No, you can't take them. They're mine. So he wants the kids back. But I feel like it's just like one of those things like possessions, right? And custody of kids. As I said, to domestic dispute that's now escalated because now he's using like experimental weaponry to get his children back. And then he says, you've got it wrong. I'm not the victim. Or sorry, I'm the victim, not her. Even though I'm the one holding the weapon, kind of thing. Thanks for the like, Mr. Amazing. And so now he's got handcuffs on, and he says first, see this apartment? I bought it for her. I married her. I gave her kids. I gave her everything. Tell it to the cops. They're going to be here any minute. One day, out of nowhere, she's not happy. She divorces me. She takes it all. So how is that fair? And then Batgirl says, you married a person, not a robot. People are unpredictable. They change. That's not a crime. And then he says back, getting very upset, if she was going to change, then she shouldn't have married me. Wow, it's an interesting way to put it there, buddy. And then the cops finally arrive. They come through the door saying, you rang? Thank God you're here. I thought I was in for another half hour of drivel, and I've got a splitting headache already. And they say, we've got this. Go home, pop an aspirin, Batgirl. Or 5. Have a good night, you two. Well, it's nice to see that the cops are on, we're on the same side in this. Sometimes the Bat family has a very tumultuous relationship with law enforcement. For good reason. We are vigilantes, right? Okay. So then the next day, Ekra's like sleeping in bed. Well, remember, she also got shot with that crazy laser beam thing, and that like caused her to be paralyzed for a bit. And we don't know the effects of all of that, right? Just yet. So the next day, knocking on the door, her roommate says, come on, Babs, if we don't hurry up, the cheese girl will sell out of the Chevrolet I love. Babs is in bed. I know exactly how you feel, girl. And then she's like coming out of her place, super sleepy, like, Frankie, I need coffee. Well, they have coffee there, so let's get going. So they head to the Burnside Farmers Market. So in just for context for you guys, in Gotham City, there's an area, like, of course, just like New York or Toronto here, you have like different neighborhoods that have their own little personalities. And Burnside is known as like this like lower income kind of area in Gotham that Batgirl lives in, or Barbara Gordon lives in. And it's like her kind of sector of Gotham to protect. Like, so if you've played any of the video games, my sister always says to me, she's like, Rachel doesn't know how to use maps. And it's true. So I've gotten lost in Gotham before, being like on the other side of the city, or like across the bridge, or the way that the map of Gotham works. And fun fact, Zatanna actually grew up right outside of Arkham Asylum, that kind of thing. So it's there's a lot of history, and even Gotham Harbor is supposed to be the place where Supergirl, in her little capsule in one of her origin stories, like, landed in, right? The avatar for the Dark Speed Force. Oh, the Dark Speed Force is definitely a fun. Also, what is it? The Death Force, or is it the Death Flash? I read a Grant Morrison comic book on here once about that. She uses robotic armor too, which she can control remotely. That sounds super cool, Pokey, because I do love mech suits. Yeah, that would be a cool book, The History of Gotham. That's a great idea, Sacramento, because Gotham, I've read a few comic books with you guys. I have these other two. Thanks, Scott Summers. So this you can get, I think, live on my YouTube somewhere, Batman and the Riddler. It deals with the Riddler trying to court me, because Catwoman and Batman are getting married. He's a Libra. Yeah, so I call it like we're like a connection of Venus signs, right? So a Taurus and a Libra together, that kind of thing. I think there's only a few signs that there are co-rulers, Taurus being one of them. That being said, though, Taurus is said to be more of like the earth, and Libra is more of like a masculine version of like what Venus represents. So like where Taurus represents love and beauty and sensuality and food, Libra is more like the opera and fine arts and justice. And so like these different ways of looking at similar things. So thanks, Ree-hee-hee-hee-hee. Memes. I was just talking about how I can appreciate memes. And Kamikaze, thank you. The Dead Flash, correcting the time. Oh yes, I think Alligator Entertainer. I don't know exactly. Now I'm going off on a topic. So going back to the history of Gotham, in some of these stories, there's talk that Gotham is actually built on like sacred land, right? So this concept of like building on top of a burial ground, or like The Shining, right? Where you have like this haunted city or cursed city. Like Batgirl, sometimes when she's talking to Nightwing, she's like, sometimes I feel like this, like we're fighting the city itself, right? And also this concept too of like, it's shades of gray in Gotham, right? Even Batman does like certain, questionable actions, right? I had an original character, big Scarlet daughter of Batman and Catwoman. She is one, yes. And so in Crisis on Infinite Earths, you learn about Helena Wayne, who is Catwoman and Batman's daughter in Earth 2. And Helena Bertinelli is actually Huntress in other worlds, but there is a version where there is a daughter, right? There's also versions in the animated versions of the different Bat family stories where Catwoman gives up her baby for adoption just because, the superhero life, it's what Batman says. It's like we wear the mask so that you protect your loved ones, right? Rachel Balsey, Aggressive Entertainment. Hi, Maury Landry. Welcome to live. I was going to continue on reading. Okay, I think it's just because you're very direct with your commentary. I think it's an Aquarius thing, honestly. I have a few Aquarius friends just like to the point. Actually, I'll say that's an air sign thing. Gemini is a little less like that. But Libras and Aquariuses, if you're like an air sign, just kind of like no preamble. I don't know why we can't just get right to the point. You don't need, I'm like, spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down, right? A little bit of sweetness in there. So, but I get it. I get the need to be direct, right? Even in school, right? When you write an essay and you're supposed to only fit, just 2,000 words, you guys. Be succinct about what you want to say versus like going off and like on a long preamble. Even when I read certain books, right? Game of Thrones author, I can't remember his name right now, but he loves to describe like certain authors in fantasy. Literally, I'll like skip pages where they're describing like the table and the chairs and the freaking other things in the scene. I'm like, I really care more about the dialogue, which is probably why I like comic books so much. I'd rather have that be shown to me in, in the way the pictures look as opposed to like the words, although it depends. It depends. All right, back. Okay. We're only going to go for a couple more minutes and then I'll say goodnight. And then I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll do, it is a full moon tomorrow. So as I said, Zatanna will be back tomorrow. I don't read books, but I love the small details that create the atmosphere of films and videos. Yeah, so I think that's the beauty of like movies and direction, right? When you have like a cinematographer or like the way the lens looks, right? And also, too, Pokey, you mentioned that you're like, if you're a photographer or if you're someone who looks at the world a certain way, like the framing of things or like the snapshots in your consciousness as how you look at stuff. That's like a personal perspective to you. Hi, Grendel. So even like in comic books, like the color grading of things. So think about your own memories, right? When you go back in time, like, do your memories look sepia tone, right? Or does it look bright, right? So I welcome you guys, like when you look at old memories, you can make the happy memories full vibrant color, full like soundtrack, right? Everything just so like that memory is just crystalline and like you can go there anytime you want. And we can have the memories that are a bit more traumatic feel more far away, almost like they're in like a TV you can't see very well and you just pull back from it so that we can have that separation from it. So there's different like mental things we can do as we interface with memories and learning about them to like both protect ourselves and just so that we can like, we don't just end up just sleeping in bed all day trying to deal with stuff. Yeah, and thanks for liking the live, Lily. Great name. Lily's got a lot of mean it, like lily flowers, that kind of stuff. So yes, exactly. So let's continue on. So Batgirl had been shot by some strange beam. Okay, and so she gave this whole thing to the cops. She just went to bed. Gets up. Now remember, we're reading this comic book, Strange Loop, so there's some mental dream-like aspects, right? I love sharing my ghost. Oh, thanks, Gwen Stacy. I love that you have original characters because I play Dungeons and Dragons, right? And so if you play D&D or RPG games, you have to create a character to play that game, right? There's a truth to that in this reality as well, right? Like even think about your name right now or your username as you use TikTok or YouTube or whichever. Like that's you, yes, but you are more than that, right? You are Pokey 13X and like how I'm Rachel Z and Batgirl and Supergirl and Jean Grey, and that doesn't negate Jean Grey's Famke Jensen being Jean Grey or Sophie Turner being Jean Grey or Millie Alcock being Supergirl or or the animated versions, right? Because they all can be true. These versions all I steal my ideas at times. You know what, though? We're all in the one mind. I think it's all of us when you connect to that overall great Akashic record of everything, pulling in. Oh, no, lag spike. Okay. It's because of what we're talking about, I think. Maybe if I just continue onward and just read it, hopefully it'll just catch up. Let's continue on. Let's power through. And then I have some actual work to do before, bedtime. Okay. So she gets up and she's like, they have coffee there and they're in the farmer's market. Looks cute farmer's market though, right? It's tacky to hit on service people and I would never. But sometimes I think that cheese girl is my soulmate. One day I'll run into her at the bar and it'll be on. I bet you will. Everyone here looks vaguely familiar. No way. Is that... Dun, dun, dun. Kai? Babe. Or, babe, Babs, actually. What are you doing in Burnside? Last time I heard, you were in China. So I think Kai. So when Supergirl has her powers become overpowered, like she gets shot with a certain kind of weird weaponry and it makes her powers super powered, she goes to China to see Kai, who's China's Superman. So I guess that's the same guy. I think so. So what are you doing in Burnside? Last I heard, you were in China. I live here. I've been here a few months actually. I'd have reached out, but I didn't think that you wanted to see me. We left things in kind of an awkward place actually. But it's nice to see you. What brought you here? My friend Denton has a woodworking business. I work for him now. Hey, you make chairs? I made this one. Hey, do you want to get dinner and catch up? It's Babs. She's known as Babs. It's funny too. In the comics, she's always known as Babs. Hey, Babs. But that's never done in the live action. I don't know why. I think maybe the 60s show they may have done that, but it's definitely hey, Babs. It's her nickname's Babs. Yeah, Babs. But Dick always calls her Babs too as well. But there's a fun scene actually in Gotham Knights where Barbara is talking to Dick Grayson. And Batman in the Gotham Knights storyline, Batman is dead. He comes back to life later. Spoiler alert. But there's a scene where Batgirl's kind of feeling overwhelmed with basically Batman's gone, so the four of them, Red Hood, Nightwing, Batgirl, and Robin, have to take over guarding the city of Gotham, right? And it feels overwhelming. And so she's talking to Dick Grayson, basically saying man, I don't know, how can I do this? Because, hey, Babs. And Dick Grayson says to her, like, you can do this. If anyone can do this, it's you, right? And she's like, Batgirl, like being Batgirl, coming back to being Batgirl after even being Oracle, like, can I do this? And he was like, I'm not even talking about Batgirl. I'm talking about Barbara Gordon and what she's able to do. And it's an interesting thing, right? Because in this story, The Killing Joke with Alan Moore, what happens to Barbara, right, from the Joker is not a result of her being Batgirl. It's a result of her being Commissioner Gordon's daughter, right? Joker comes after her because of that. And that is the danger, of course, of being a superhero, being a masked vigilante. You do put loved ones in danger. That's why we wear a mask. That's why you have a secret alter ego identity to protect your loved ones as well, right? From that risk as much as you can. All right. So then later, she sees Kai. She's like, do you want to grab dinner later? So they have a date planned later. I didn't know that there was something there between those two. I don't even know if this Kai guy is the same character that I'm thinking that it is, but let's put it out there for now. So later, Kai and Babs are on their dinner date, and he says, so when Denton offered me a job, it seemed like a sign. Woodworking isn't glamorous, but I'm doing something real and solid. I like working with my hands. It calms my brain down. Now my life makes sense for the first time in forever. And then as he's talking, Barbara's just like looking at him. And then in her thought bubbles, she says, do I also read Invisible? Love is free. Hey, welcome back. I have read Invincible online before. It's not the same experience as having like a real life comic book, but I would. I love Adam Eve. You need a bath, bud. Stop it. Or your sock. You need your sock again. My Wolfie has a skin sensitivity, so I have to stop him from all of that. But I will bring back Invincible at some point in time. I have to organize that, and I'd have to get a cosplay for her soon. I'm aware of Umbrella Academy a bit, Pokey. Oh my gosh. As I said, I have to focus on each thing at a time. Or maybe I'll just have to do crossover character things with you guys. I'll have to figure that out technically. All right. So she's looking at his hands as he's talking about woodworking, and she's like, ooh, he does have nice hands. And she says, that's great, Kai. And now I just have to find a girlfriend. And Barbara's like, ha ha. How are things with you? And she says, oh, they're good. And he says, looking, well, uh-huh. But how are you really? Things are great on paper, but I feel like I'm spinning my wheels. I'm halfway through my library science degree, so they're keeping, in some renditions of Barbara Gordon, she is a computer scientist, like a comp sci whiz. She's a genius, actually. But in other cases, she's a librarian. So that's kind of cool. This is DC, but I love both DC and Marvel. I'm not a purist on either one. Although whenever I do comic book reads, the people who really love Marvel hate the DC ones, and the ones who really love DC don't like Marvel. Like, for example, my sister only exclusively reads DC. So, but she loves Thor just because she loves Norse mythology. So I would say to you guys, it's more about the stories themselves, like which ones you find interest in, what resonate with you, because it's all like a reflection of your own inner mythos, right? So a good friend of mine, she used to tell me, she's like, I don't get why you like Barbara so much. Like, I don't know why you like Barbara Gordon Batgirl so much. She doesn't seem like a character you would like. And I'm like, really? Why? And she's like, I don't know. She's like, Loki is definitely better than Thor. That tells me a lot about you, though, Pokey, right? And also, too, it's funny, like, Thor, the way Chris Hemsworth plays Thor makes him much more attractive, right? Just like Wolverine being played by Hugh Jackman makes that character much more attractive. But if it was more comic book accurate, those characters wouldn't necessarily be as like hot as they are, right? Because Thor and Wolverine are both like shorter, more like the heavy, the muscle, which can be attractive, but it's not in like a traditional kind of way, right? Oh, the Marvel, as far as superior, you know, I would say as a cohesive universe, Marvel is superior just because you have a thought leader in Stan Lee, right? The DC comic books, like the different characters are much more separate in worlds. And so when you had the different crises, it was just their way of like pulling it all together. I bet, I think it's my network more than likely. Also, too, I find the internets or the tech likes to fight me when I talk about stuff that's spicy. So I'm here for it. Okay, so she says things are great on paper, but I feel like I'm spinning my wheels. I'm halfway through my library science degree and like I like my life in Burnside, but I don't know. Sometimes it feels like I'm not getting anywhere. Your guy won't commit. Is that how he's like? Is this like a relationship talk? Like what the heck? I think she's talking. I don't think he's a Chinese Superman because he's acting like a normal person. He doesn't seem like he has powers. Wasn't DC enemy stronger? You know what? It's like one of those things when you have a hero that's created, you need to have also the counter to that hero, the foil. And if you have a hero like Superman, I remember, so the creator of Brainiac, right? That bad guy is also the same creator of Batgirl and Supergirl and Crypto. So it's like when you have an initial character that's created, the other characters in the other universe that surrounds it, it's like you inspire other creators to help create it and add more flavor and depth and mythos behind it, right? It makes each character have that much more nuance, which is similar to us as individuals as well, right? Tolkien, J.R.R. Tolkien, who wrote Lord of the Rings, has said that the idea of us like making things is like a reflection of us coming from a maker too, right? So this interesting parallel between that and also just the stuff that you're going to pay attention to and what you think of as true in your own reality is true for you. And just because it's not true for someone else per se doesn't make it not true. It's like how if we were to go out and discover a whole new other planet, another civilization, it's not like they just appeared out of nowhere. They were always there. We just happened upon them, right? Gwenpool is considered the strongest. There's only her. Yeah, so it's the writers too. Like I think it's Stanley is the one who's saying like, who wins in a fight? It's whoever the writer wants to win, right? Because like a lot of times like Batman always goes up against certain characters and like it's always like written in such a way that Batman always wins. And I find that like a lot of people are like, oh, that wouldn't happen. It's just because the creators love Batman. And I think the reason why that's written in such a way is because Batman is human. Batman doesn't have powers. He's not like made from clay like Wonder Woman or like an alien or like science experiment. He's literally like, yes, a rich kid, right? Who went through trauma and he used all of that and all the resources as a human being to create an idea, right? To create a force that deals with the shadows and the darkness and fighting that. And I think that's something that is very powerful, right? Just how it's used, you know. You're having your own personal experience and seeing the world at a unique perspective. Exactly. It's like that parable. I don't know if you guys have heard that parable where like if you have like 5 blind guys and you're each touching an elephant and one touches the tail and one touches the ear and one touches the trunk, you're going to think that those are 3 different animals, right? Someone's going to be like, oh, this is a lion, right? Touching the tail. This is a bat touching the ear. This is like a giraffe touching the leg. But if those 5 blind men were to talk to each other, then you realize, oh, it's an elephant. But if we don't, but to you in your reality at the time that you're just thinking that it's the tail, that's also true. I don't know if that makes sense. Anyways, Batman on the chair. The chair of power. I'm going to have to make a note of that. Love is free. I'll do that. Okay, he's also super cool. Yes. I found an animated short where Wonder Woman's trying to hit on Batman and he like turns her down, right? It's funny. Yeah, he's like, and like we're old Batman being like, back in my day, women used to fall all over me. And then younger Batman's like, so what did you do? He's like, I stepped over them. Okay, so chair of knowledge. I need to look that one up. There's also like the Batman who laughs, right? And also when Batman gets a hold of like the Black Lantern ring. That's kind of crazy. When is Batman and Wonder Woman not flirting? Why is that censored, Pokey? Craziness. Booty sequel werewolf. Oh gosh. Okay, here we go. So she says, yeah. Oh, it says here, Kai, stop fishing. I'm single. Happily single. That's not the problem. He's like, okay. I know this is a friend's dinner. I just wanted to know. It's fine. Anyway, I think I'm just in a rut. I'm just maintaining. Maybe you should learn how to juggle. Yeah, I think that maybe I need a new hobby. You mean besides being Batgirl, perhaps? And then onward. So back on Burnside College, so they have this date. Now she's back in school for library science. Or maybe I've been working too much and I haven't spent any time on my old hobbies. Because when you make this alter ego, right, there's this conversation Batgirl has once, and not in this story, where she's talking to herself in the mirror, basically being like, everything I'm doing is for you, Batgirl. Everything is about Batgirl, Batgirl. What does Barbara need, right? This, like, I need to have time with my friends. I need to like have a relationship, all this kind of stuff. But if it's all just like the Batgirl is priority, that part of your personality like takes over. It's that juggle, that dance you have to like do with yourself. Okay. And later on, this is her professor talking, we'll explore the importance of cybersecurity in library computer networks. And that's our time for today. I know it's warming up and all of you want to be outside instead of doing the assigned reading. And so he's going off like, what your homework is, class, right? And in her mind, Babs is thinking, I thought I'd keep up with MMA training after I came back from Asia, but I don't. I started school and there was the whole thing with Ethan. Oh yeah, Ethan. So let me track back. Penguin has a son who's like super hot, right? And Batgirl, or rather not Batgirl, Barbara and Ethan date. And it goes awfully wrong. I actually have a comic. I'll find that read and post that somewhere. But yes, homework. You know how nerdy I was? I used to love homework back in the day. Fun homework, like cool projects and stuff. I relished them. But other homework with stuff you're not interested in, not exactly fun. Okay. But if you're studying to be a librarian, you should be an indoor kid, right? Do the reading. And then so she's thinking instead about the reading, she's thinking about Kai, being like, Kai looked so good. Really happy. No, Babs. Bad. She's thinking to herself. I should get back into MMA, not dating. There's a gym right around the corner. I could train after class. Oh, you are Batgirl, so a little extra, martial arts training couldn't hurt. Looks all right. And then someone's running out behind being like, Barbara? Mayho? This is crazy. You're the second friend from my Asia trip who's shown up here this week. What are you doing in Burnside? This is kind of suspicious, right? Like, how are these like two people who she last saw when she was visiting Asia now showing up here, right? So she's like, what are you doing in Burnside? Well, I used to live here, remember? Well, I'm back. I signed on to fight for an American MMA organization. It was too good to refuse. But what about your gym in Singapore? I thought that was your dream. Dreams are for children. Eventually, the alarm goes off, and it's time to get out of bed and make the grown-up decision. Sorry, I didn't mean... I'm kind of going through a soul-searching thing, too. No, I'm sorry. You hit a nerve. I had to leave Singapore. There was an accident at the gym. A girl was hurt. Badly. Oh, no. Her family sued. I sold the gym to pay them, but it wasn't enough. When the Americans called me over with their offer, I couldn't refuse. Do you like it at least? They work as hard, but I'm grateful for the work. So we're outside of the gym. So what are the chances of that, right? The fact that I'm thinking about taking MMA, then now all of a sudden my friend from Asia shows up and she owns the MMA gym that I could be taking classes at. Perhaps you are not in reality, Batgirl. So she's thinking in her head, she didn't answer my question. Not exactly a good sign. And she hasn't mentioned the name of the MMA gym or that she's working for. And she's not exactly volunteering any information. So she's like, come on in. Do you want to spar? It's been a while, but sure. Good thing I packed gym clothes. Something seems wrong with May. And she's thinking to this inside. I need donuts too, Pokey. I can make some tomorrow. Cinnamon sugar donuts. Something seems wrong with May. I'm not leaving until I have a little more information. Dun, dun, dun. Whoa, she was ripped before, but now, whoa, they have been working you hard. You look incredible, May. Yeah, I guess. But I always looked incredible. What happened to your arm? Oh, it's nothing. I got a birth control implant. It's embarrassing. Not embarrassing at all, but it looks infected. Can I take a look? Back off! Whoa! She gets pushed back into the locker. I'm sorry, May. I overstepped. Let's go spar, okay? I changed my mind. I'm not in the mood. See you around. And then she just leaves. Well, that seems a little odd, right? May? Whoa. That outburst is totally out of character for May. Something is up. What are you mixed up in, my friend? So she changes into her Batgirl outfit and she starts to follow the girl who left. That seems a little crazy, right? I was just trying to help. It looked infected. You should check that. Also, the birth control implants. I know very many horror stories about those things. You're messing with hormonal stuff, but then also implanting it. So if there's side effects, it's so much more amplified and hard to deal with. So just interesting how that's in this story as well. I just find it interesting. Okay. What are you mixed up in, friend? She's heading into the sketchy part of town. And Burnside itself as a whole is already sketchy, right? The last MMA Oris headquarters I saw was a big, shiny office building. This place doesn't even have a sign. So she jumps in, right? Check it out. Well, what have we here? A surgical room. This is the same kind of bandage May had on her arm. And this must be the implant. No way these are birth control. Based on the changes in May's body and demeanor, I'd say it's some kind of performance-enhancing drug. Once I've analyzed it, I'll know what I'm dealing with, and... That scream! It sounds like May. Hang on, May. I'm coming. So she's running down. Roar! Bam! What the? So now there's a ring. An underground fight ring? And those women. Is that... Get her, Blue. Finish her off. May, so she can see her like kicking this other girl. Huh? So Batgirl shows up. Come on, May. Let's get you out of here. Batgirl? How the heck did she find us? I can't go out there. They've turned me into a monster. You aren't the monster. They are. If you come with me, I'll find a way to reverse what they've done to you. Ah, so it's like they've pumped this girl full of like drugs and stuff to turn her into a fighter to do like underground fighting and stuff. So Batgirl's like, get out of here, May. I'll reverse what they did to you. We can't let her get away. If she tells the cops, we're going to jail. Blue, kill her. No, I won't. Give her some motivation. And so they shoot this girl with that, almost like that strange same weapon that Batgirl was shot at the beginning of this story, right? And now it's been this like strange mind dream-like story ever since then, right? Oh, what does it all mean? And so after they shoot her with it, it like basically turns her like psychotic, and she's coming after Batgirl now in the ring. Babs, and this is her friend, right? I was no match for her when she was my size. Now she's taller and faster. I'm completely on the defensive. Stop, May. Stop. I don't want to fight you. I'm here to help you. And she snarls and just hits her, even high kick, right? She can't hear me. The drugs have control of her. If I fight back, I'll wind her up even more. But if I get out of her way and keep her moving, I can wear her out. Maybe then I'll be able to reason with her. And then a punch comes very close, but you do a little dodge, right? Little like fake out motion. Yeah, we don't want to fight. No fighting. But of course, like it's these situations where you get pitted against each other, right? All right, we're almost there. Wham! Oof! Oh! Batgirl! Who's there? Oh my gosh. I just got like overtaken with something. Hold on. I'm like reading too much. So, up to this point, things have been weird. I'm drinking the oils. I am. My R2D2 mug is back. I love R2D2. He is like the constant in all of the Star Wars movies, right? And you always need that little friend to open the door, get the keys, R2, right? Send the messages, all that kind of stuff. I need to uncensor your comment, Pokey. The oils. Delicious oils. Okay. Onward, you guys. So she gets punched, knocked out, right? And so, oh my gosh, I knocked myself out almost there. So after that point, she's in this blue space. And typically in comic books, whenever things are colored in like this blue tone, even in Constantine, I'm probably going to read you guys Constantine tomorrow with Satana, just because it's a full moon and there's some fun, spicy stuff that happens on the full moon, right? So the blue tone usually means like you're in the etheric kind of realm, right? Batgirl? So it's like this figure, shadowy figure, like picks her up. Who's there? It's me. What's this? Fruit Bat? Oh my gosh. That's her the name. Fruit Bat? After after Kai and May How, I was wondering when you would show up. And I guess it's from her trip to Asia. Like, this is following her trip to Asia. It's almost like she went with, like, Supergirl. I should make that. I'll never forget my dad hysterically laughing at R2-D2's wacky screen. Oh, Elias. I love that. We should bring that back. Well, I will do a Star Wars comic book read. I just need to put together a proper cosplay for that. Actually, on YouTube right now, there's a really cool retractable lightsaber that this guy like has engineered and made. It looks amazing. Like, and you can duel with it and stuff. Like, my hubby's like, I want a real lightsaber. I'm like, I don't think we're in a position to safely have a lightsaber that can just easily cut off limbs like that, right? Like, I think we need to have like some precautions before we're just like swinging around like real lightsabers and stuff, right? Okay, so Fruit Bat, this old wise sage, which he reminds me of the character that Supergirl dealt with when her powers were overpowered and she had to get a hold of her like her own chi, her own like inner energy, and like recalibrate it. So he says, "You are in trouble," and Batgirl says back to him, "Nah, I'll wake up, learn from my mistakes, and ultimately win the fight. I always do." That's a good way to put it, Batgirl. "No, listen to me. This isn't real. I know I'm unconscious right now. I'm dreaming. In here, in here isn't real, but out there, the fight, that isn't real either." Oh, Dreamwalker. Great name. Great name. We need to revisit Titans. Also, in the pantheon of Greek gods, like the difference between the Titans and the Olympians, there's a differentiation between those gods, even though there's like a close relationship. We should kind of look, maybe we should look at that and see if there's commonalities between that and like the choice of like the teen Titans, right? Like why have that name and like have the Titans be teenagers when the Titans come before the Olympians, right? Just I'll put that out there. I'll figure that out in some sort of analysis in the future. Wait for it. All right, so Dreamwalker / Fruit Bat is telling Barbara that what she's been experiencing, likely ever since she got shot with that crazy gun, right? That crazy, weird blue experimental weapon, seeing Kai going on a date. She's like, everything's kind of felt weird. So he's basically telling her, like, or she, I think it's he, hard to tell, is like, this isn't real. This isn't real, and out there is not real either. It's like, you know, Inception, a dream within a dream kind of thing. Like if you get knocked out in your dream, typically you wake up, right? But it's almost like in this case, if you get knocked out in this space, you go into like a deeper realm, right? A little Barbara action. Yeah, that's right. Barbara Gordon, right? And I'm walking, I'm back to my normal self after the whole Oracle incident and like the Killing Joke in this situation. So, true resilience and being able to still fight the fight no matter what. Exactly what Barbara says here, right? I'm going to wake up, learn from my mistakes, and ultimately win the fight. I always do. Okay, but Fruit Bat's like, no, Barbara, this is a dream. It's all a dream. Then, do you remember the apartment? What's this? Cleo and the gun. So this whole situation here. So we're going flashback in time, right? Being like, remember? Who needs a spinal cord? Too soon. Well, I mean, it happened in the 80s, I think, the Killing Joke. It didn't hurt me. I smashed it. And then Fruit Bat continues explaining, you only thought you did. You're still in there, here, in that apartment. Your brain is traveling at the speed of light, but the real world might as well be frozen. Everything that's happened since then has been a figment of your imagination. You're building your own prison, brick by brick. That's why you feel like you aren't getting anywhere, because you aren't. You need to find a way out of this loop in your mind. And what happens if I don't? You'll die. Dun, 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 to be continued. So that wraps up this comic book reading. I actually have the follow-up read to this on my YouTube somewhere. So I'm going to hunt it down so that when I repost this one, you can get the follow-up read. So I can tell you The next comic book after this one opens with Barbara being aware that she's now in a dreamscape, so she now has to figure out a way out of her own labyrinth within her mind, which I think some of us can kind of relate to when it comes to certain constructs or feeling in like a prison of your own mind, or like depression, or like constructs of like self-doubt. All of these things can kind of like keep us in this space that's confined, right? So in the next story, she realizing she's in a dream, she reconfigures herself, right? So she basically then is able to lift up like May, who she's fighting, and this other chick. She knocks them both out, and then she carries both of them to the hospital because she starts to think to herself, like, if this is a dream, just like Neo in the Matrix, then I should be able to control it because I'm making all of this, right? So she lifts up these people and she's like, oh, is this how Supergirl feels like? Just being lucid in a dream? That's a tell, I think. So with that, I'm going to wrap up this comic book read of Batgirl Strange Loop. I'll be back a little later. What we're going to do next is a Green Lantern read. Well, actually, no, sorry. Tomorrow we're going to do Constantine because it's a full moon. I need to source that comic book from the library, though. I'm going to see if I can find the one where Constantine switches bodies with Swamp Thing so that Swamp Thing can have a baby Swamp Thing, that kind of thing. So we'll do a read of where is it? There's a couple Green Lantern stories here that Alan Moore has written about, which deal with prophecy and Abin Sur. I think that's how you say his name. Because I have a soft spot for the Green Lantern Corps and the lore behind that. And oh, hey, Chris, it's been a while. I was just about to leave, but at least we caught each other before that. I read, you guys, just part 1 of Strange Loop. I do have part 2 available on my channel somewhere, so I will find that read and I will post it alongside this read. And then I'm going to have the replay of my Promethea read ready for tomorrow, as well as Zatanna will be back tomorrow, my good friend Zatanna, and we'll be doing some full moon card readings for all signs as Zatanna, and maybe some magic tricks if I can figure out how to do some of them ahead of that. I've been practicing, right? All right, guys. So thank you for joining me for this comic book read, our Cosmic Comic Book Club with Barbara Gordon, Batgirl. It's been amazing. So till next time, remember, it takes true courage for you to play as exactly you in the cosmic game of life. So be sure to play as exactly you because the universe is counting on you. But no worries, I have your back. So till next time, Bat Family and Guardians of the Shadows, stay frosty. Till then.